What's up, everybody? This is Judith Echo. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, apparently, if you live in Ohio, you're getting way more coverage of Les Wexner and his deposition or his questioning by Congress. I can't remember what this was, but it was about the Epstein files. And so, I got access to some local coverage, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think people understand, because we live in such a fantastical world right now. People don't realize what it was like 20 years ago and before, so Les Wexner is a huge deal in Columbus, Ohio, and he just went on a tear. In the late 90s, early 2000s, there was nothing hotter than Victoria's Secret. It was, and then he owned the other stores, L Brand. So he owned Abercrombie, why can't I say it? Abercrombie and Fitch, which now also has its own sex scandal with the boys being trafficked and harassed. He also owned The Limited, and my cousin worked for them, so it was like so many stores, Bath and Body, like all this shit was hot. And you go to the mall and you could get all these great deals and stuff. My cousin got a discount, so you could get all your smell good and your fancy underwear. And my mom had a robe that she loved from Victoria's Secret that my cousin, his name was on it. It was the Savoy robe. And man, my mom, we were there. We went to those stores constantly, because not only because of my cousin, but because they were the places to go. And so that money, everybody thought Victoria's Secret was a British company, but that money is sitting in the middle of Ohio. And so you got all these people who work there who look super fashionable, and you think they live in New York, but they live in Columbus. And so his company was a big deal, and it employed a lot of people. And to think during the height of all of his wealth that Jeffrey Epstein came in there and got his power of attorney. And listen, I don't know if you guys realize this, but most people don't get power of attorney over someone until they're sick. So why would he give him his power of attorney if he wasn't dying? You see what I'm saying? He had to have blackmailed that out of him. That would be my guess. And then, I'm sure he got him in some compromising positions, got pictures, because that's what Jeffrey did. And, in a way, it's very true. Wexner is a victim. And I do feel sorry for him. I do think he was victimized by Epstein, but I also think he went on to, victimize other people by not stopping this guy, and you don't have the means to get your power of attorney back. You're not sick. He should be giving his power of attorney to somebody now. He's 87, 88, 89, somewhere in there, not 30 years ago. That doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the article was intriguing, but like I said, they're not covering it like that here. But in a Ohio paper, it was like, yeah, he did do all that. And he did finance this. And imagine if Les Wexner had stood up for himself and other people. He could have stopped probably all the victims after that. But he didn't. And, he swears that he didn't do anything wrong and he didn't know anything. And it's like, come on. Have some courage. You are a part of this. Your money financed a good chunk of what is going on. And we can all see that. And we know it's because you were victimized. And I'm fairly certain he is a closeted gay male. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. He's one of those people that married really late and has younger kids compared to what his age is. A lavender marriage, if you will. And it makes me sad how much of the world's terror is being carried out because people have secrets that they can't just be themselves. You know, you can't be yourself, so you have to, live a lie and terrorize people too. You know, it's upsetting because so much of what we're talking about was based off of trust. You can't see it now, but back then, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if somebody said, I'm a scout for Victoria's Secret, that would make somebody be like, I'll go anywhere you want. It's like that Tyra Banks show. America's Next Top Model didn't age well, but back then, people thought, oh, I'll be a model. It doesn't matter that I'm 5'4". Tyra says I can be a model. But it really was never that. It was like you're going to be on a television show and you're going to do things that make good TV. So many of them never became models. So many of them you never ever heard from again. So, I don't know. We live in such a strange society. It's like as soon as somebody gets desperate, that is the worst thing that can happen. Because if you grew up poor, and I mean really poor, government assistance, not enough food, not clean environments, and you hear this over and over again. Apparently Tobey Maguire grew up super poor, and he has some weird sadistic streak that he's been able to hide from people by perpetually pretending to be a nice guy. But apparently he's kind of a viper. But it's because he was desperate. And desperately poor, and desperate to not be poor again. That's the way Puffy was. I woke up with cockroaches on my face. I vowed that would never happen again. That kind of thing doesn't leave you. That was Puffy with the cockroaches, not me. And he shares intermittently these stories about how poor they were. And then there are other times where they were doing pretty good. So that's the ebb and flow. You never know. Well, that's how money goes too, especially when there's not a stable environment, a 2-parent home. So who knows what he saw and what he actually was subjected to, but it was rough because he did everything in his power to never be poor. And that's an Achilles heel. You can't just go out in the world and be like, listen, I'm never ever going to let something like that happen to me without agreeing to some Faustian type deals. People can see that on you. And to be fair to anybody who's been a victim, a lot of predators, they're apex predators. They know exactly how to manipulate you. They know exactly what to say to you to get you to do what they want. A lot of little kids who get assaulted, it's not you. They know how to test you and groom you and do all of these things to get you to do what they want. Victims have to understand that there is an art to going after somebody, and they pick who they pick very strategically, especially the sexual predators. So you just have to be careful and guarded, but know that you weren't gonna out finesse an R. Kelly. He was an apex predator. He was in the music business. All he had to hear is you wanted to be in the music business too. And he thought it was normal. He thought, hey, I'll just date high school girls. I'm 32, no big deal. Listen, I don't understand what's going on, but apparently a lot of people really enjoy the company of children. I've known that since working in the prosecutor's office. These people aren't famous, so they get caught and prosecuted. But I'm going to tell you something. Whatever number you think that crime is in your neighborhood, you should times it by 5. At least 3, but I would say 5. There are a lot of grown men who enjoy the company of 12, 13-year-old people, and sometimes younger, but that was really the wheelhouse. 13, 14, and then the girls grow up, realize that something was inappropriate, and press charges, after they've had their own kids, or, they're 19, 20 now, and they're like, wait a minute, that relationship wasn't right. And it's very brave to do that. It is. So, like I said, the one thing that I think works in my advantage, if it's an advantage, is that I know crime happens. I know bad things happen. I've seen evil. I've seen mental illness turn into murder. I've seen all kinds of things. And I'm not saying that it's right or it's healthy, but I understand that crime does actually happen. I feel badly for people right now who are just shocked. I'm just shocked that these things are happening. And it's like, I feel bad for you because they've been happening. But now we see the higher up people go, the less consequences there are for them. And that's what we need to change. There needs to be one justice system. And again, I keep telling you, I'm watching Barney Miller, which is 50 years old. And they keep bringing up the same topics. One world government came up again. They've been trying to do this for a long, long time. And I think that's the whole point of Bitcoin, so they can have one digital coin that they can control everybody, But I think that's what's weird about Bitcoin, because it was supposed to bring on digital transparency. But I have every confidence. Once the banks started getting in on it, I knew I didn't want any piece or part of Bitcoin. So we're in a very interesting time. I think we're in a time of revelation. Things are coming out. We need to understand and process all of it. And we have to lean into our faith. We have to pray for those that are evil, who've been touched by evil. I know it's hard, but that's part of being a light in a dark time. A lot of these people need to see the light, and they need to have a come to Jesus moment. And I'm not saying you got to pack up all your things and go join a church or any kind of... See, churches can become cults too. You have to, though, be still and find your inner compass, because you know what's right when you hear it. You know what's right when you hear it. You know how it feels. When something is wrong, you can tell because it feels wrong. And it's a great time to get in touch with yourself and your emotions and how you feel and what you believe. And don't be afraid. They count on your fear, because when you're afraid, you're apathetic. You shut down and you won't do anything. And this kind of evil grows in apathy. Am I saying Les Wexner needs to go to jail? He should probably be in prison because he financed all this and he's lying to us and telling us he didn't. But I'm going to pray for his salvation, because whatever led him to be victimized like that, and I shared my theory, needs to be healed for real. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm sure he's a lovely human being in his own way, but he also financed a monster. And I don't think Jeffrey's the only one. And I don't think all this stuff is stopped either. And you got to get this current administration to finally just tell the truth. And I don't think they want the truth out there, because A, it would show how feckless they actually are. And B, mainly that. Mainly we would find out that the president really has no power. And that all these guys have been carrying out these things, the wishes of the elite. And we didn't even vote for them. Which is a lot to take in, and I get that's why people get depressed and sad, but it's really a great thing to find all this out, because that means we can change it and build it back better. How can we change it? They're billionaires. Yeah, but money is a creation of man. It's currency. There was a time when you could trade salt for things. Money only has as much power as you give it. So if you're satanic and wealthy and created this world where everything revolves around money, I don't think that's invincible. I just don't. I think that can come down, because that's not a God creation. That's a man-made creation. And I don't know. I just think God is more powerful. Did you know Sammy Davis Jr. was a Satanist? That's insane, right? But it was obviously the entertainment industry was infiltrated by Satanists, and you can see it now. So let's take it back. Have a great Tuesday. Be safe. My allergies, you see, by the time I'm at the end of this, my allergies are clogging up my nose. It's a fun life. Take care of yourselves.